I was interested in the portfolio of properties you had in Cleveland, or at least a couple of them. But the way that I purchase is kind of different. The 25 doors that I have right now, I've taken over people's debt on much more expensive properties, on like $400 to $1 million properties. And that's kind of what I'm interested in doing here. So I wanted to hop on the phone and see if I could explain it and if you had any questions for it.
Okay.
Essentially, the way that I own my properties is kind of the way that you transfer property to next of kin. Like I explained this to your business partner about a week ago, but let's say you had a wealthy individual and that wealthy individual has a house with a mortgage on it. They get married to somebody and that person doesn't have as much money as they do. They don't have the income. It's just a wealthy person marries somebody who doesn't really have an income to kind of financially support them. They might add that person onto the ownership of their house, right? But they've got a mortgage on it. So how is that person going to qualify for their mortgage? They fundamentally can't. I mean, maybe it's a $1 million house. They marry somebody who has no income, but they can still add somebody onto the ownership of their property. They just can't qualify for that mortgage. Similarly, you might have somebody who has a mortgage on a house and they pass away and they transfer it to next of kin, but that person's name is still on the mortgage. They just transferred the property to somebody else, but that person might not be able to qualify for that mortgage. So the loophole here when we're trying to sell a property and it's a non-assumable loan or you can't qualify for it is you put the house into the trust and then you sell the trust to somebody else and they make the payments for you. And if they ever miss payments, the property goes back to you. Not with a foreclosure process, more so it literally defaults back to you with the ownership of the trust. You don't have to go through the foreclosure process whatsoever. So every single property that I own, I found an individual who doesn't have a whole lot of equity on their house. And I say, hey, let me give you your asking price. I'll give you a 10% down payment. And the way I'll take over your debt is probably something you'll do later in life. You'll probably put your house in a trust at one point, and you'll probably pass that trust on to your next of kin at another point. I'm just saying we accelerate that process, put the house in a trust right now, and see if you guys will let me buy you out of the situation.
So what you're saying is you transfer the property or the LLC into a trust now?
House goes into a trust. We pay for the setup of the trust. I purchase the trust off of you for the same terms I would have purchased the house off of you.
How do you propose to eliminate my personal guarantee on the mortgage? When you have a mortgage or commercial mortgage, you sign a personal guarantee that if you default or anything happens, that I'm then liable for.
It's on your credit score, right? It impacts your credit if you miss payments on it.
It may or may not.
So yeah, I just sold my house in San Antonio like this. I had a house in San Antonio. I sold it last week. Somebody else put it in a trust and bought it. And the way that I make sure that individual pays their payments is I say, I'm going to put a deed in lieu of foreclosure on the trust, which will give you the trust back if 45 days of payments are missed. So the worst case scenario is 45 days of payments are missed, but then the property is yours again without foreclosure. So that's kind of the exact catch. That's the downside of this. Like, sure, you can transfer a property that has a non-assumable mortgage, but you are personally liable if payments are missed. However,
I don't know if it's that simple, honestly. I would have to